On the brink of Armageddon, Bill Gates and his buddies are buying up bunkers. Do they know something we don't know? Is this the new pandemic? Armageddon now? Is it conceivable that even nuclear Armageddon could be part of a crisis response solution mentality? Firstly, let's have a look at some of these bunkers that are available for Bill Gates and his billionaire buddies. I've got to tell you, they're actually fucking lovely.
No one knows exactly what the future has in store.
Don't they?
But one startup company says avoiding threats from any potential natural disasters, viruses, and wars doesn't have to come at the expense of your comfort.
Yeah, why should I give up my comfort just because there's a virus and a nuclear war? I should be able to relax. There's another few million people dead. See what's on the telly. Repeats again. Why is no one making any new content? Oh.
This is an oppidum, a type of luxury doomsday bunker that could soon be underneath the mansions of some of the world's richest people. Oppidum is the Latin term for fortified settlement, and that's exactly what this is and much more. Company officials say each bunker is air and gas tight. The shelters are also armed with the technology to make their own water, air, and energy, while coming with the chicest amenities.
Whatever is happening in the world outside, you can rest easy.
What type of moral centre is implied by the statement, no matter what's going on in the world outside, you can rest easy? Oh, look at that, another child dying of radiation sickness. The gardener doesn't look well. Oh, look at that, Algeria just sank into the sea. Like, you can't rest easy. What kind of person are you if you can tolerate and cope with Armageddon just because you've got a decent wine cellar? He's actually literally having a cigar in there. Fuck him.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important announcement.
Jonathan Herzog's day didn't just end with roadblocks, but it began with them.
As I got into Lahaina, they were redirecting us all around through these back streets.
When he was later heading home through Lahaina town just before 3 p.m., he hit this roadblock on the southbound highway. Herzog backtracked to where Front Street meets the highway. Traffic moved well enough at that time to rejoin the highway near Lahaina Luna here. But then, Herzog says, traffic snarled with downed trees and crews working to the south.
Then I ended up turning around and trying to go north again, thinking, well, at least I'll get out of Lahaina.
But to the north, the gridlock was worse, he says, so he detoured over on Baker and then south again on Waine'e. At 3:19, his camera shows a police vehicle blocking access to the highway at Papalaua. But nothing had eased up, so without GPS, he heads north. And just before 4 p.m., he ends up in this line of cars on Front Street, in gridlock. Passing vehicle after vehicle, he noticed of those on the bridge.
All of those cars were still sitting there, just same exact spots.
KITV4 reported on the other side of the Cannery Mall that Herzog passed by in the 4 p.m. hour. The highway was completely shut down for 2.5 hours. At 5:30, Herzog comes to the end of Front Street, and to his surprise,
looks like 2 police vehicles parked kind of nose to that exit for Front Street, kind of at a V like this. The traffic had basically bottlenecked right there. So there were cars in both lanes trying to go north by this point, but everyone was stopped on Front Street right there.
As the maintenance worker walked past the gridlock, heading north on foot, at 5:33 p.m. motorists had been fleeing into the water. I asked the chief of police directly at the last press conference, were command and control for fire and police in contact that afternoon in the emergency operations center? He declined to answer that, but says that police were directing the public away from dangerous power lines. Hawaiian Electric says those power lines were de-energized as of the morning. Reporting from Lahaina, Jeremy Lee, KITV4 Island News. Back to you.
Days after massive wildfires destroyed the heart of western Maui, the desperate search for loved ones, with hundreds still unaccounted for. This stunning drone video showing rows of torched vehicles, now twisted husks, frozen in time.
So many people have died. My friends lost their grandparents in the fires. People are being found in their cars.
In Lahaina, the town most devastated by the wildfire, a point of no return. After letting people through for 90 minutes Saturday, Maui police abruptly shutting down this entrance, leaving many drivers furious.
How are people supposed to get there if the damn roads are closed?
Some attempting to get crucial medication to those who need it the most, like Nurse Sherry Palomba, pushing to help those suffering from diabetes.
Would you say that medication for people is the greatest need right now?
If people can't get their insulin, they're going to die.
19-year-old Noah Tompkinson, his mother and younger brother, diving into the ocean to escape the flames.
We kind of had it in the back of our mind the whole time that we wanted to be next to the water.
And now new questions over the emergency response to the fires. NBC News learning warning sirens were never activated, according to Hawaii emergency officials. And while phone, television, and radio alerts were, the governor says telecommunications were knocked out by the fire.
There was no emergency system, and most people, their phones were gone before they could get it.
Many have said they didn't receive any warnings. The state attorney general now opening an investigation into the response. Amid the rush, the only two escape routes out of Lahaina along the coast were backed up.
The remains we're finding is through a fire that melted metal. We have to do rapid DNA to identify them.
Some of those who died were trapped in their cars. With fears this morning, there are many more.
And back to that investigation, a Maui communications director recently told the local news outlet that neither the Maui fire chief nor a top emergency management official were on the island as the fires were already breaking out. We've reached out for comment. We haven't heard back yet.
It's 2017, just after Trump's inauguration. Media theorist Douglas Rushkoff shows up at an exclusive resort to deliver a talk about the digital future to a group of wealthy tech executives.
I was in the green room waiting to go on when 5 men came into the green room and sat around this little table they had there. And I found out that there was no talk for me to go do, that these guys were the talk. And they didn't want to hear the whole thing I had prepared. They just started peppering me with these questions. Like Bitcoin or Ethereum, which one should they bet on? Or augmented reality or virtual reality, which did I think would win? And then the third question, the one that made me realize that this was more than I signed up for, they said Alaska or New Zealand, meaning where should they situate their bunkers for the event? The rest of my hour with them was them asking me all these like really specific questions about how to water test their plans for the apocalypse, for the electromagnetic pulse, or the economic downturn, or the disease or war that would necessitate them leaving their Silicon Valley ranches and retreating to these fortified bunkers in the middle of nowhere. The billionaires, they understand that they're playing a dangerous game, that they are running out of room to externalize the damage of the way their companies operate. Eventually, there's going to be, the social unrest that leads to your undoing, which is why these same people are looking at creating bomb shelters, going to Australia or New Zealand. The most powerful people in the world, they see themselves as utterly incapable of actually creating a future in which everything's going to be okay.
This morning, some relief for the people of Maui from two of Hollywood's biggest stars.
We've been meeting with community leaders, our kapuna, for the past couple of weeks, and just trying to figure out what we could do.
Oprah and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, coming together to aid communities impacted by the wildfires, launching a fund with an initial donation of $10 million, but also asking for more help.
In this time of need, you want to take care of the greatest need of the people, and that's giving them money.
The two reflecting on the devastation of the fires.
Oprah lives here in Maui. I was raised in these islands. My family are buried in these islands. It's going to take a long time to rebuild. Probably get a little worse before it gets a little better, but we're here doing what we could do.
Now, a little more than a month later, where has the money gone? Our Eddie Dow joins us now with an update.
After witnessing the heartbreaking images of flames ripping through Lahaina, countless people around the world poured in donations. Some of the biggest agencies collecting are already giving out money, while others are still in the planning phase. The biggest pot of money, over $110 million, is the Hawaii Community Foundation's Maui Strong Fund. Just over a month later, they've given out nearly $19 million of that to nonprofits. Maui United Way has raised over $10 million. About half of that has already gone to more than 5,000 victims through a one-time $1,000 payment.
What?
Through a one-time $1,000 payment.
We've been telling you about the trend, but tonight we hear from one of the displaced residents who actually received several of these inquiries. New at 6 o'clock, KITV4's Aali Iduklo spoke to that resident and has that story.
Just days after losing his home, Sean Sarabay says he received about 8 calls asking if he was interested in selling his property.
Go and get people like that. There is people out in this world like that.
The blaze that leveled Sarabay's home still burns in his memory.
Hiding right here. I don't know whose house this is, but I got trapped.
As he tries to recover from the trauma and rebuild his life, Sarabay is asking realtors and the general public to respect those whose homes were reduced to rubble.
Let us get settled in and let us do what we gotta do and get the help that we need, and let Lahaina be Lahaina. Let Lahaina be Lahaina.
The Realtors Association of Maui writing to KITV in a statement, the actions of a few bad actors looking to profit from the crisis are despicable. We strongly condemn and discourage this kind of behavior, especially as our community tries to heal.
Oprah Winfrey bought 870 acres of land in Kula in the central part of Maui. The media mogul spent $6.6 million from Ulupalakua Ranch. That's on top of 100 acres of land that Oprah already owns in upcountry Maui.
There's mixed reaction tonight from Maui, where Oprah Winfrey recently bought hundreds of acres of ag land in upcountry.
Now, we were the first to tell you about this earlier this week. Some disagree with the buy, but as KTV4's Aali Iduklo explains, 2 lawmakers say it's actually a good thing.
Some on social media are calling the buy excessive because the millionaire already owned more than 100 acres in upcountry in Hana before buying 870 more acres in Kula.
Ag land is treasured here. As you can imagine, it's open space, it's beautiful.
Winfrey bought the agriculturally zoned land from Ulupalakua Ranch for $6.6 million. Our Instagram post of the news garnered hundreds of comments, most of them disapproving the purchase. This is a screenshot of some of the comments. One Maui resident arguing, "Why is this allowed?"
So now a billionaire comes in with his money, doing it by force, removing people out of their land.
We see these sort of things going on every day, where what little land that was left for us now is up for grabs.
This is a rock wall Zuckerberg built around his 700-acre property. And just to give you some perspective here, you could fit more than 500 football fields inside. So the land that you own is just across this fence right here.
Yes.
But Mark Zuckerberg has put up this wall and fence and it says no trespassing.
Yeah.
What would happen if you tried to go over there?
I'll get arrested for trespassing.
Even though it's your land.
Yep.
Other times, under a complicated legal system called quiet title, a buyer like Zuckerberg can sue Kuleana owners to force them to sell their lands, usually at auction for pennies on the dollar. And that's just what he did, suing hundreds and infuriating many more. Keola Worthington is one of the descendants of the land Zuckerberg has walled off. The Facebook CEO paid a reported $100 million to buy the land in 2014, which includes a former sugarcane plantation and a beach previously owned by a millionaire. When word got out about the lawsuits, they called out Zuckerberg using his own platform. They even made videos and memes blasting him. Zuckerberg apologized and dropped his lawsuits. We reached out multiple times for comment and were sent an op-ed he wrote saying he'll talk to the community and find a better approach.
We have a hard time sleeping since this came up. Just always on your mind. It's hard to save your land when you have a billionaire fighting you for it.
Terry Ferreira's cousin sold her land for $400 to a company called North Shore Kahlo LLC, not realizing it's owned by Zuckerberg. Then his attorney called Terry.
His first words out of his mouth was, how does it feel to get $800 for land that you never knew you had? And we assume we're selling to a Kahlo farmer. We're like, yeah, that sounds good.
And then you found out that North Shore Kahlo LLC is Mark Zuckerberg's company.
Yes.
And how did you feel when you found that out?
I was mad. I was upset. I felt deceived.
Now, Governor Green says he is aware of the reports of predatory investors attempting to purchase land from people affected by the fires. He says he is exploring options to prevent people from outside the state from buying land during the state of emergency.
Now to a very unusual sight captured on camera. Japanese and local astronomers say a Chinese satellite was recently seen beaming down green lasers over the islands. This video captured atop the Subaru telescope on Mauna Kea, operated by the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan.
Lasers flash for just a couple seconds. Initially thought to be from a NASA altimeter satellite, the Japanese put out a correction note on Monday saying NASA scientists found a most likely candidate as the ACDL instrument by the Chinese Daki-1 AEMS satellite.
Chinese satellite that is measuring pollutants, among other things. It has many different instruments on it, some kind of topographical mapping, or they're also used for measuring stuff in the Earth's atmosphere, and I think that's what it is. It's an environmental measurement satellite.
I also sat down with the former Chief of Staff of Marine Forces Pacific.
This is my opinion, why the Chinese, who are probably some of the most prolific polluters on the planet, would be collecting data on pollutants on this side of the Pacific.
Both experts say this isn't explicitly a spy satellite. It is cataloged and known by governments around the world.
The U.S. has satellites that do the same thing. So in this case, despite all of the flurry, well-deserved flurry about Chinese spy satellites and other devices, this one is just orbiting Earth and has a known orbit.
The footage was taken January 28th, before the recent incident where a Chinese balloon traversed over the mainland U.S. before being shot down off the coast of South Carolina. Which brings the question, how much is the Chinese military seeing?
They can shut down any communication nodes that they want if they believe that I think the public is getting too much information. So yeah, I think it's more probably military than anything else. That's makes sense. It seems to me that those tensions are there. People are a little antsy, and I think we just need to be a little bit more aware, vigilant.
If you happen to see green lasers in the sky, not to worry. It's the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers conducting coastal surveys. And they're being done using a contracted aircraft equipped with a light detection and ranging system. The lasers are used to measure distance. Residents near Oahu's south-facing shores between Barbers Point and Diamond Head might see those broad beams of green light across the night sky. It'll happen between midnight and 5 a.m. from Friday, April the 28th through the 30th. Officials say brief exposure to the light is not harmful to the unprotected eye.
Why are the billionaires buying bunkers on Hawaii?
Whenever you're anticipating a giant geopolitical shift, you follow the money. And so if they're prepping for some kind of large-scale disaster, maybe be in anticipation of things going a bit belly up.
So the billionaires have been in Hawaii for a few years now. And you can see why they would like to go to Hawaii. I mean, this is from 2017. It lists a bunch of things that have happened long before. Like, billionaires started in about the early 2000s buying up small amounts of Hawaii. And this has just carried on. Like, Mark Zuckerberg shelled out $100 million for an estate in 2014. And they keep buying. And that's very, very interesting. So you've got like Mark Benioff, Larry Ellison, who apparently owns an entire island, one of the smaller islands. Mark Zuckerberg, like I said, what, a 700-acre oceanfront estate? Wait a minute, I thought we were expecting sea level rises. What's going on there, Mark? Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, used to own an entire private island, right? But the public property records were wiped.
Impressive. Now let's see Paul Allen's public property records.
Yeah, but he owned a 10-acre farm on one particular estate. The CEO of Salesforce, Mark Benioff, he started with $12.5 million in 2000. Peter Thiel has an estate in Hawaii. He's got a $27 million, 1.7 acre property in Maui in 2011 he bought. Carol Bartz, the ousted CEO of Yahoo, owns properties in the exclusive neighborhood. Michael Dell, CEO of Dell Technologies, owns the crown jewel of one of the locations, which is called Raptor Residence. Honestly, it's looking more and more like Elysium. The mainland may well be screwed up, but we're 500 miles away on a tropical island that you're not allowed to come to because you literally can't afford to get to it. Larry Ellison, which is Oracle's CEO, he purchased the island of Lanai for somewhere between $300 and $600 million in 2012.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I always get a little bit tetchy when I hear about billionaires buying private islands.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the idea. But the point is, they own a significant amount of Hawaii. If you were going to be like, right, okay, we're expecting some big trouble this year, where can we go that is secluded, private, resource rich, and temperate and nice? And Hawaii is actually a good choice for this. So after the wildfires, they all chipped in. They contributed millions. The billionaires contributed millions, probably about 10 million in total, I think it was, to relief funds, whatever that means, whatever relief fund means. But what was really weird was land grabbing after the fires. As you can see, Oprah Winfrey there, she owns various amounts of property. Now, one thing that's weird is Oprah Winfrey doesn't own beachfront property. Her property's inland. So clearly she's not confident that we're going to stop global warming. More sinister still, while the flames on Maui still burned, residents reported being contacted by developers and investors offering to buy their land from them. I'm so frustrated with inventors and realtors calling the families who lost their home offering to buy their land, one local said in a video for a local charity. How dare you do that to our community right now? So I don't think they care about your community at all. I think they're using you as essentially a bug-out location for when things go tits up on the mainland.
Are we going to raise any eyebrows at the Hawaii wildfires?
I'm happy to entertain.
Well, Lewis Brackpool and I covered it a little while ago for the website, and there were some curious goings on there. So they have the most advanced natural disaster warning system in the world, and it just didn't work.
Just like on 9/11, all these safety systems just didn't work that day.
Or like during the Las Vegas shooting, and it turns out that the guy that oversaw the investigation into that was also overseeing Hawaii at the time.
Really? That's weird. How do you get from Las Vegas to Hawaii, jurisdiction-wise?
Well, it's just, if you were going to appoint someone that's like super competent, it wouldn't be the Las Vegas shooting that we got zero answers for how that guy got so much ammunition up to that hotel and a great vantage point, and we never knew his motivation. Also, there were a bunch of police blockades on the routes out of the area that was on fire that cost people their lives, and there were also a bunch of empty cars that just materialized in the road, stopping people from driving out. Some sort of logistical screw up that caused a lot of lost lives that we haven't had answers for yet, or they just came out of thin air to kill people.
Hawaii Governor Josh Green released a statement warning developers against predatory land buying. It was a bit too late for that. He announced that the Hawaii state government was considering securing land in one of the islands, Lahaina, to protect our local people so it's not stolen by people on the mainland. It's quite significant. Hawaii for the Hawaiians, says local governor. So the question is, well, why are they going there, right? What's being gained there? It's sunny, it's remote, it's private, and it has a ready-made surf class, which is the poor Hawaiian natives who live there, who are just going to be employed by the billionaires as a kind of underclass. And so anyway, the question that was on everyone's lips recently, that we began this with, why are the billionaires now building bunkers? Zuckerberg himself built a 5,000 square foot Doomsday bunker in his Hawaii program.